It's April 25th, 2022, and again, these are some hot topics. I am just really confused. My feet are in this where I'm receiving the bubble that I'm in inside of a bottle has that. I'm gazing upon a mirror in mirror, almost, or like an image in image, like a portal to somewhere else. Now, this is where I'm in New York, so keeping stereotypes like and a uniformity of some sort. I mean, there is safety in that, so one can spot when something doesn't look right. Now, what's become increasingly difficult to spot in the local area, not so much in my lifetime was I aware of it, especially pronouncing it on the TV and things, but more so of late. They show on Channel 7 this person, and now it gets confusing because there's been such an influx of something Latin America, Central America, that has that look. And then to an untrained eye, there's another influx of engineers and things. One has a very, I call it Latin pronunciation to the ear, and then the other one has a different breathing mechanic with, they put out and breathe back inwards. It goes in a melody that's not from here. You can definitely tell that it's foreign bound. Now, the latter would be something that is not traditionally Christian. I've found for some reason there's a big turnout or conversion to Christianity, but again, that's not even really clearly defined anywhere. It's not in my Unrest in the American Colonies. They don't even speak of Christianity. They don't speak of any other anything. And so I'm in this place that they call New York. I'm in this city that they call Big Apple. There's there is such a range of possibilities, and I'm thinking, now if I needed to protect myself and my family, in case other people in the city are doing stuff, I'm like, how do I explain and keep myself safe when even trying to bring this up? Because they're not traditionally, that look is not traditionally Christian. Between Mary, the disciples, and so on and so forth. And again, I'm not quite sure when it comes to charitable funds and finding charity and faith and solace of some sort. I'm not really sure why there would be, if a religion was a sign for purposes of global management, for lack of a better term, why localized issues of conversion would break out or have some kind of reformation, REFORM, or reforming of this one word in some kind of identity theory of sorts. I mean, I see signs of it. Again, I don't know. This is a larger issue I'm finding in New York with words such as counterfeits going on, but not just, it's on clothing and threads and imports and exports. How do you spot counterfeits? That kind of thing. And I don't know where to bring that up to, but I did notice tonight on the nightly news something that just doesn't fit to the norm of what North America's version of Christianity is. I mean, maybe in other places, but it just, and then the man's voice and the way he speaks with this funeral that goes on in a Christian spot, again, gets really confusing because he definitely sounds like something foreign, across the water type of placement, which I've never heard of them celebrating Christianity in a happy way. In all of my years here in this diverse setting in New York. So that's interesting, because I'm not quite sure where attacks come from or what the purpose is. I know that there's a lot of fights over labor and jobs and engineering and technology and contracts, and it seems like mergers and acquisitions and hostile takeovers. That's what it feels like anyway, being in this version of New York. But looking for things that just don't look or sound right at the moment, from what I've experienced in New York before. And then I have a cross-reference of Virginia. I didn't have any interactions with anything like this in Virginia. So
funeral services today for a teenager in New Jersey whose tragic death has shaken a high school and a community. 18-year-old Clinton Ajit was a senior at New Milford High School. He drowned Friday night in a pond while trying to retrieve a soccer ball for kids playing nearby. Here's New Jersey reporter Anthony Johnson.
There was a heavy sense of loss in the St. Peter's Morathoma Church.
all right, so it's got this tie to St. Peter's, which has several different problems that I find immediately upon inspection. One Air Force related, one traditionally Orthodox Christian that doesn't look this way. And then and that ends in, I think, Petersburg. Then there's, or at least the way that they've painted it in this area, with Anastasia being the musical play on Broadway, to have the identities align properly for what's here. Let's think about this. So this is just so confusing because the name doesn't sound right, and then he says a few words, and the voice and the accent is not usually celebratory of something that has a cross. I don't know if this is something new now that it's found Christianity and St. Peter. That could be a problem as well. I mean, they're supposed to be not studying other people's religious whatevers in certain areas for good reason. I mean, there are things in the Bible that are, or the area, the regional areas, secular, vernacular, that's really important to protect. But I don't know if these are considered tabernacles. I mean, when these things open up, like who and how does this get tracked or looked into? I mean, who do you report that to make sure that it's something safe and not going to cause some kind of local war to break out?
Family and friends still coming to grips with the sudden shock of unthinkable tragedy. Clinton Ajit's life may have ended, but his impact is still being felt.
Now, that's a band. He plays the trombone, and it's just in the local schools because he joined the band. It's like playing softball and them wearing that team, whatever, momentarily.
Felt.
He was always there to help others all throughout his life, even up until his last breath.
That's the accent that I'm speaking of. Again, I don't know. Are these like locally broadcast to try to start riots? I mean, is that a possibility? Because I've seen a couple of conflicting views, and I don't, again, know where to report this kind of stuff. But I mean, how do you, again.
I urge all the kids in our parish, including my own kids, to look up to him as an example.
His family was grieving, and the pain was palpable when Clinton's brother read a tribute.
My brother and I had a bond that was unbreakable, and that bond is still there. My brother was...
Again, it goes from like the Vedas and the Mahabharata and a completely different secular everything to now this Christianity. This gets very confusing in a where does one go, or how does one keep one's children safe? And is this like something that might start a fight? And now this is it says something about New Jersey. It says New Milford. And then these are some of the community members.
The memorial continues to build on the banks as classmates drop by, saying the school was quiet on this first day back since Clinton's death.
To lose such like a loving member of our community definitely impacted just the whole environment. I really feel for his family. That's all I'm thinking about right now.
Those who came to today's service to pay their final respects say it was hard on everyone.
The community is so sad, they are all, grieving, look at this. It's a sudden shock to the community.
The memorial here on the bank of the pond continues to grow as many stop by to remember a young life gone too soon. In New Milford, New Jersey, Anthony Johnson, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Now, politics, and a new poll out today shows voters in New York are not at all pleased with the state of life in the state of New York. This 2 months before the primary for governor. Only 36% of voters in New York say the state is on the right track. 52% say New York is headed in the wrong direction.
And that has to do with prior administrations leading into this one. Now, I don't know if the previous story with the Christianity question has to do with this opening of the hospital and medical facilities here, and an even larger problem being that New York Presbyterian has this commercial.
The ones you love should always have the best care. At the only hospital affiliated with not just one...
Now, that's Will Cornell, who's got some staff members that have made some statements before. that are confusing as well. With I don't really know what Christianity is anymore at this point. It's not clearly defined, based on the fact that there's so much inter and commingling of all of these really important constructs that were put into place but are not being handled properly.
An Ivy League school, but two, Columbia and Wild Court.
And here again.
Cornell Medicine, with the doctors that other doctors learn from. Nurturing patients with...
Again, here's what is going on around here. And there's a baby over here. What is going on?
Care that heals us all.
And it's calling Presbyterian.
It's our doctors and their compassionate teams that make up New York Presbyterian, so that you stay amazing.
So this comes in with what I would assume would be areas for fraud and scamsters to take charitable money or donations and employ themselves or work their way in a dangerous private type of foundations are built and funded, and then all of a sudden it's like, where is the naturalization process? Where's the ability to say no? Where did all of those safety procedures go? Just curious. As far as letting people in or leaving, like, just whenever. You know, along the same lines, I got this guy who's been on the television trying to tell me that COVID's all right. Gets confusing in New York. I don't know. I mean, I'm not taking responsibility for these people, but I am definitely not sure where to question. But this is some new turnover that's going on in the Big Apple or in New York City. I don't know when it started or how it started, but it's really frightening because I don't know where the linguistical lines are, and sometimes people are calling themselves all sorts of things that how do you really know if that's what they are, and how do you keep them in line to make sure that they're not scamming and taking advantage of the public if their stereotypes, what they call or label themselves as, are no longer looking correct because they're now sharing these labels.
Yourself and those around you from COVID-19. I know we're all tired of COVID, but we've learned so much over the past 2 years, and we all know what we need to do to stay safe. If you haven't already gotten vaccinated and boosted, please do not wait any longer. The COVID-19 vaccines remain our strongest defense against infection and, most importantly, serious illness from the virus. If you have COVID-19 symptoms...
I just can't. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxies, Broken. It's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.